What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea. And today I am joined by the fifth person eliminated from Ascendance Live Season 3, Madison. Madison, how are you doing? Good to see you again.
Hi, you too. I am good and well rested compared to the last time I was on
Yes.
Ascendance.
Awesome. Um, so obviously you were eliminated one elimination post what we've seen up to this point. So I wanted to ask you, I know this was your first go round at a live game. Was it everything you imagined and more?
Oh my gosh. I tried to mentally prepare myself, but I didn't do a good enough job. You just really I have so much more respect. Not that I didn't have respect in the first place, but I just have more understanding for people who play these games and for example, I remember, if I'd watched something before, I'd be like, oh my gosh, why is this person crying? Like, settle down. It's a game. But it's like when you play it and you're in it, you're like, whoa. like
Yeah.
I so I wasn't expecting, I don't know, it's such a hard question. It was awesome. I'm so glad I did it now that it's over. But
Yes.
in the moment, it was a lot. I pushed my comfort zone, which was my goal. And I did it. I did that.
You did that.
Yeah.
You started off the game with being the first captain, one of the first captains, you and Emily.
By doing absolutely nothing. If that is not a perfect representation of, yeah, that was pretty fun. Um, I I think that it felt just really validating. Probably, I was just scared to be there and excited, scared, but just especially after COVID, it's just been. I'm a social person, but it's been a long time since I've met a bunch of new people, especially 20 of them all in a room and um so it was, but it was just, yeah, it was really, really fun. And um I didn't expect, yeah, I just didn't expect how real it was going to be. I also know, looking back, it's I know that I could have slash should have done a lot of things different, a lot more strategically. I was watching the draft you all did, which was so fun to watch. But I just was like,
Thank you.
oh no, what? Because I just, and I remember you saying yeah, Madison's coming a little more hot than I thought she would, because I know I had said I wanted to play it chill. The people I like in the game are the people who are the chill, low key people, which of course is not me at all. I just can't shut my mouth when I have a thought. I guess. But yeah, it felt nice. It was fun to, I think in my head a little bit, I was like, okay, cool. I want a challenge. That I don't have to worry. Not that I'm a person I didn't really, I've learned people have bucket lists of ooh, I want to find something, or I would have loved to find something, but I didn't.
Well,
Just
you
new
kind of did,
friends.
right? Because you kind of were given a power by Keith,
Oh
right?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that poor kid. Yeah, he was.
That's a little
Oh
crazy.
yeah, yeah, that was bonkers. And I didn't really know. I think it was. I think the power was I could be a team captain. After a captain's challenge, I could play it and be a captain. And I remember all I could think was why would I ever use this? I'd feel so bad for the person that won, that I'm no, no, just things like that, where I was I kept oscillating between those two things of feeling really bad, but then just being it's a game. I just don't feel bad. Just play the game like it's a game. But then freaking when Adam got voted out, which was the first one, I was like, oh my God, this is so real. This is more, this, it like right then and there, I was like, what the hell did I sign up for right now? What is going on?
For the first captain that you won, it was the famous blind vote where everybody kind of meets everyone for the first time and anonymously votes for who they want to be captain. Were you aware that that was going to be something that happened? And were you surprised at all that you were the one that was chosen first?
Yeah, I had watched a couple. I don't know if they did that on the other seasons of Ascendance because like I've watched a couple episodes, but I did not know that was going to be a thing. And I was like almost scared at first. I was like, oh my God, are people going to get like voted off? Like I thought it was a trick or something. Um, but I definitely did not expect, especially with all of those people there, like, and I didn't know who knew anybody. I'm still freaking finding out like, oh, this person played this game with that person, and this person is actually best friends with this person, and like this person had beef and they fought, and like it's
It's
been like
messy.
so fun watching these episodes, and it's so messy. Um, but yeah, I was really surprised that I got picked. It was I think it was just really validated, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, now all these people obviously don't hate you because in your mind you're like, what if everyone hates me? Like, what if what if no one wants
I'm
to be my
constantly like
friend?
that. I'm constantly
Yeah,
thinking that.
right. Like anxiety. So it was really really nice.
Um, Another thing that I noticed throughout the course of this season with you is a big connection with Ozzy, right? You guys were kind of like a little bit of a duo from the get-go.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that wishes that you kind of downplayed that relationship at all?
Well, I again, it's such a learning curve. Yeah, I look back. I don't feel that way for myself, but I do feel that way for Ozzy. Like I was like texting him during because again, like when I was saying like, yeah, I've learned a lot of things I could have should have done different. Like again, I kind of went into this because I wanted to have fun and meet people. So then when I was like having fun and meeting people, I'm like box checked, right? I'm having fun and meeting people. But then I completely realized, especially in these settings where at the beginning, it's like you just need someone to stand out that's not you, right? That you can like pitch people. So like I see now that being um, so open about liking people and who I was. I think Ozzy too, just he's just such a bubbly personality and like chatty and
Positivity.
I love his accent. We talking to his New York accent and like I think he just made me feel really comfortable again. So I just was having the time of my life, but I was texting him rewatching it because I was just like, I'm so sorry that he just hearing all the titters and like hearing the conversations of like, oh, Maddie, these relationships and all this stuff. And I was like, shit, I wasn't even thinking about that. I literally was just like having fun. So I was texting him and I was like, I'm so sorry. I like botched your game because I feel bad. I feel like I kind of put a target on him. Um, Whereas I was kind of, just happy to be there a little bit. But it was really funny coming out of it because I was told about like 3 or 4 different alliances that I was allegedly in with like different people, which was like never the case. Like except for the pretty vodka wine thing or whatever that did not work. Obviously, that was the
Yeah,
only like
that blew up.
allegiance. Yeah, that I made. And but then it was so funny, as people come out, just hearing, oh, we thought so and so and this and that, and I'm like, nope, literally just thought they were funny or whatever. But if I ever played a game again, I would have that, I think, experience. Just it's hard for me to shut my mouth sometimes, as you can tell. So like, just being more like Taylor, who just like shit stirs, right? Says some like bomb, and then just sits in the back and watches. Like those are the
Mm.
people that I love. I just am too loud. I don't know. I got to keep practicing that.
Practice makes
But
perfect, honestly.
yeah, but I don't regret again for my like game. I was happy with everything I did, but I absolutely see how I was not playing a very smart game in terms of those different dynamics.
Another person that I wanted to ask you about, Madison, was Sarah. I know that you have some sort of connection with Jake, and obviously Jake and Sarah are related. So, did you know, like, what was your relationship with Sarah like before going into the game, and then like, did you like kind of know her?
Yeah. So Jake Sparks,
Great
that
guy.
little devil. Yeah. So he's my one of my best friends and he's my roommate. We've lived together since after COVID hit. Um we started living together. So um yeah, we're pretty close and he is the reason that I got roped into this whole thing, which I'm grateful for. Sarah, I freaking adore. Like Sarah's also a very good friend. Like I don't know how many ouch, I don't know how much I couldn't tell you how many times I've hung out with her. Like they've been Rudy. There were a couple years in a row where in Jake's birthday in December we like have a party at my parents' house and like Sarah lives in Virginia. Um but she's come up for that. So I know Sarah super, super well. So like that is another thing, bone I have to pick because like a fun fact too is like before the week before Ascendance, Jake and I actually we drove from Minnesota to Pennsylvania, uh, where Jake's
Nice.
cousin lives, and Sarah and her partner actually met with were there. So we all hung out for like 4 days or something like that. And then Sarah went back down to Virginia. And what we had told her was I just came with Jake to Pennsylvania to have someone to drive with. And then like I was gonna fly back to Minnesota and then Jake was gonna drive down to Ascendance. So this girl had no meanwhile, Jake and I know the whole time, like, I'm gonna be at Ascendance. And like I said the first time I talked to you, like this type of thing, not usually something I would do. Like I am the last person that I think Sarah Sparks would expect. And I think she said that in the episode. Like, and it was so funny because we had told her cousins, like, here's the deal. Like, don't spill the tea, but like, this is what's happening. We're gonna surprise her. And like in the first 5 minutes, Jake's cousin says to Sarah, or like says in the room, like, and you're gonna play too, right? Like to me. And I fortunately am an actress. And it was so it ended up being really funny because I was like, oh my God, no, like I would rather be dead. Like I could never do. And Sarah's just laughing. She's like, can you imagine? Like, can you imagine you doing it and me and Jake were just like, so I knew that she was going to be there. She didn't know I was going to be there. I didn't even know what her reaction was. I was so freaking nervous walking into that room. I just kind of blacked out. Like I didn't even really see her. Rudy, it's okay. Um, but something that's funny is like, so that was one thing that I was going to try and do was like downplay how much I know Sarah because I really know Sarah. I love Sarah, but I was trying to like, oh yeah, she's like my roommate's sister. Like I've met her a couple times, whatever. And like coming out of the game, people are just laughing at me and making fun of me. Like it was so obvious how much you liked Sarah and all this stuff. But then I see on like the first episode, like the second she sat down at a table, she's like, I know Madison, we go way back, like all this stuff, and like telling everybody. So I was like, I'm the one getting ragged for like being too obvious, but Sarah immediately was like, which I'm fine with. Sarah is brilliant and she should go and obviously has gone farther than me, which is good. But it was really, really funny just the way that whole thing shook out and like her just the first like half hour, she just was like staring at me like she couldn't believe that I was there. I couldn't either, honestly, but
But you
it was
were.
really fun. But I was.
Um, Madison, I think a big, let's kind of move into the big, I'm not gonna say fight, but the
The high
big,
school behavior.
the big disagreement, we'll say,
Yeah.
at the Coliseum. I mean, it's been said that it's one of the best episodes Ascendance Live has had, and you were right smack in the middle of it,
Oh,
in the bunk
pressure, the
bed,
embarrassment.
calling people out. What?
I
What's
had
going
tried to
on?
go to sleep. I had tried to go to sleep hours earlier. Um, oh
Okay.
man, I was dreading that episode airing because in my mind, which I did, yeah, this is also like a good life lesson, especially in these games I now know, is like you just have to be aware that you don't have all the information and you don't know that you don't, you just like have to be aware of that. Cause
Right.
like I said, if I think I see something, if it's right or wrong or whatever it is, I usually am the one that like says it. But it's like
Mhm.
I look back now. So yeah, what happened, and it was a bunch of like I did not realize like what a shitster Ozzy was on that. Like seeing that scene when they're in the living room when Emily first like goes upstairs and Ozzy's just so pressed about it. And I'm like, if I had been that person, like I would not. Well, I'm deaf. I probably wouldn't even have heard her say that's whack. But like, it just I it just would have happened so differently. So it's just kind of funny, like looking back and just seeing all of these like sparks. I know like what had kind of triggered it was like we had done well, me, Emily, and Ozzy had done the Pretty Vodka Girls or whatever. And Ozzy had come up to me then saying that Emily told him after there was like a vote. I think it was between like Keaton and Ozzy got a couple votes, and like Emily or one of them, I don't know which one honestly, but Emily told him after the fact, like, yeah, I had heard something about. I think this was the first time we heard the like someone. I heard someone threw your name out, but like, don't worry, I shut it down. That like exact phrase, which is like a funny inside joke now. And Ozzy was kind of like, so he came up and told me, and he's like, why would Emily tell me this like after the fact, like if we really were like a strong. So that's when we were kind of like, oh, like this is interesting. And then it just happened in succession in the Coliseum where like person after person after person was coming up to me saying that someone said this exact phrase. Like Rocky was one that he was told, oh, someone said your name. I can't remember who it is, but I shut it down, over and over.
Mhm.
And everyone I was talking to was like, well, no one said this, no one said that. So like at the time I literally thought like, is Emily just like making, I thought she was trying to be strategic and like lie and like do all this stuff, and I was like, it's just not like working very well. I don't know why I got on my freaking high horse so much about Erica. Like I was like such a social justice. I was like rolling my eyes at myself because I'm like, it's just that's what hurts me. I'm like, Maddie, will you settle down? Like as I'm talking about this soap opera though, right? Like you get in it and like your feelings are like Erica was just such a sweet person, and like she was just so this like when I'm seeing these people get voted out, like Keaton, like Keaton's elimination versus my elimination, like night and day, right? Like Keaton was like so devastated, and then it's like just seeing how much it means to these people. It's like it just you get emotional. So I don't know. That really upset me. That I just thought Emily was trying to be like really strategic,
Yeah.
and I'm just so funny because like I am a confrontational person, but also like I laugh my ass off when the camera all of a sudden I hear the bed creaking because and I like flip over. It's like literally the second Emily enters the room, I like flip over. I'm like, okay, I'm asleep. Like if they there are so many points of that night where like if one thing hadn't happened, the whole conversation wouldn't happen. Like if Emily, but I remember that moment of like Emily asking if she could go talk to Ozzy, and he's like, no, like you can talk right here. So then I felt bad. I did feel bad for Emily because it's like no matter what you're doing, it's not comfortable to have a whole room of people looking at you. Like if you're getting called out, like I had empathy for that, and I felt like a freaking like gargoyle up on my stupid bunk bed, like yelling at her. But it just in my mind, I was like, this doesn't make sense the way all these things are happening. And then Sarah, the defensive or the public defender, over there is like the two of us were like, just, whatever, all these pieces. So, but then you look back and it's like, well, somebody did say Rocky's name. Somebody did say Ozzy's name. It's just like, and it's CJ, of course. CJ was the shit stirrer of all of it, but like, um,
CJ got out, scot free there.
he, but I also like, I'm like, I get why people would vote me out. Cause again, I went to bed that night, finally went to bed that night, knowing like this is going to be a short lived stay. Cause again, when it's like, you just need someone standing out like that is probably not a good idea. And like, I would be afraid to have me as an ally in that game. Do you watch Survivor?
Oh yeah, love Survivor.
I feel like I am like Carolyn a little bit. Like I'm just like too like I wouldn't want to be, at least in that game. I wouldn't want to be my partner because like I just say everything. Like where's the chill? No chill. I'm just like rolling my eyes. Like this one thing that wasn't on camera when we were talking, when we were first kind of putting all these pieces together with Emily. Oh, she told you this, she told you that, she told you that. There's a bunch of people in the room. I don't know who all, but Rory was there in the middle of the room with all of us having a conversation.
Mhm.
And of course, at the time, unaware that Rory and Emily had, a connection. And so, like, Rory goes upstairs and is like telling Emily all the things that we were saying. And so then Rocky comes downstairs and he's like to the Coliseum and he's like, you guys don't say anything, but like Rory's up there right now, like telling Emily like everything you guys are saying. And she's like, but be chill, like don't say anything. And everyone's like, okay. So then like 3 minutes later, Rory comes back in the room and I just go, hey there, tattletale, like yell in front of the whole room, like no chill at all. And poor Rory, I felt so bad because I can tell he felt really bad. But it's like things like that. Like it was just so funny. It's just, and I said sorry to Emily like the next morning, like, because again, I was just so damn tired. Like, I just wanted to go to bed at that point. Like, I had been in bed for hours trying to go to sleep. But I've learned no one sleeps. Nobody who plays these games sleep, apparently. It's whack.
Sleep is a huge factor in Ascendance. How many hours can you operate on efficiently? That's what it comes down to. But the after this whole debacle, misunderstanding, you know,
Yeah,
maybe disagreement, I would say, um, the vote is, hours later probably. So
literally.
while all that
Uh,
stuff was happening, um, did you feel like strategically, you know, before all that mayhem went down, that you were in a good spot to potentially get through your elimination?
if the Coliseum, before the Coliseum thing happened, how was I feeling or
Yeah,
after?
say like none of that goes down.
Hadn't
Everybody goes to bed
happened.
at 10 p.m. maybe. Do you feel
Say
like
I go into a room like AJ, who was sleeping like a freaking baby the whole time. Had I pulled an AJ, I think it would have gone a lot different. I don't know how. Like I rewatching back, it seems like people really perceive me and Ozzy as a threat, and then I think Sarah was the third person. So like,
yeah,
it
the
kind of
trio?
sounds like, yeah, it kind of sounds like people were, and rightfully so. It makes sense, but like targeting us. So it's like I don't know who would have come out. I think Ozzy is a better competitor than me in games. So like if I was someone, I'd pick him over me. But I didn't feel like I was on the radar at all. Like I felt pretty like just passive. I was clearly just like a parrot. Like this is what I heard, you know, trying to hear like this is what I heard. So I
Yeah.
definitely think I compromised my position a bit by being so loud. But it's like I also Sarah was just as vocal, like honestly, like and a little more assertive at, so like I
But
felt, and
also
I'm like,
Sarah
man,
was not Sarah was safe at that point.
oh, that's right. That's what Jake, oh my gosh, it was so fun watching that episode with Jake because he's just cackling at his sister because like that's how Sarah is. Like she's a badass and she will argue
And
her
she
position
beat
till
and she beat
yeah.
Jake's placement.
Yes, she was
She told
very,
us that.
very, she's very excited about that. I tied with his placement, so I felt very good about that because I was like, he also got fifth. So I felt good about that. But yeah, I was interested. I've thought about like, I wonder what would have happened if that Coliseum didn't happen, or if I had just tried to go to bed, like if I had just gone to bed at 2 when I wanted to, like
Yeah.
what would have, but I had so much fun, and I think I'm a better audience member than participant, honestly. So I I was definitely at peace with it. And props to Emily for surviving that, like not being voted out, like that was just the hard part. And I get she was under pressure and like honestly couldn't remember who said what, but like it she just didn't look very she had a hard time explaining herself in a way that made sense. And so then it just didn't look very good. But I think she did a good job, obviously, whipping the votes together the next day.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think that
oh,
there was anything that you could have done, anybody that you could have persuaded with you to not vote you out, when you got voted out?
I think if I would have, I definitely could have tried harder. Like, one thing I will say, I absolutely did not enjoy the part of these games of like having to run and go titter and talk to people and whisper. Like, that is like my worst nightmare, having to like walk
That
up to a group of
snake
people and
shit.
be
You
like,
didn't like that
are
snake
they
shit.
talking about me? Right? Yeah, exactly. So, like, I, I, and I also, I'm realizing too, even just watching these episodes, like, I should have watched like earlier seasons, because even just the language, like hearing like, because I don't know what the fuck like what do I say when someone's like, what do you hear, like what are different ways that you can say, people like, hearing people say like, yeah, I'm not really ready to say names yet, or things, just like even just language that like when you've never done anything like this before, so you're just like walking up to a group and people are like, so what do you think? And I'm like, what do I think? I think I have no idea what's going on. Like, what do you mean? What do I think? Like, I don't know what's happening right now. So I think like if I was back in that situation, I think I could have tried harder to maybe pitch myself more, like compared to Emily, here's why I would be a better
Ally.
competitor, although I don't know if I believe that. So I don't know. I don't know how that would have worked, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things that I could have done better.
Listen, you live and you learn. You
Yeah,
obviously have been
right.
watching, having fun watching, and
Yeah,
half of the battle is realizing that, we make mistakes in these games and let's learn from them.
right. Right,
But
right.
I want to ask you another question actually. You left
Yeah.
the game with a couple powers. I don't know if you're allowed to tell me this, but did you just take those with you? Or what happened to those?
Um, did I have more than one? I know I had one from Keaton.
You had
Did
one
I
from
have
Keaton,
another one?
and I thought that you had a know the votes. You had Captain's Choice and
Um,
know the votes.
you take him then. Sorry. Sorry.
No worries.
Oh, little
Bye,
man.
Rudy.
Yes. Out. Okay. So sorry, what was that?
So I thought that you had acquired one of the powers from the first night where you kind of were drawing those cards where you could know the
Oh,
votes.
yes. Yes.
Um,
What was that?
know the votes.
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe. I don't I don't know if I don't think I gave them to anybody. I
Okay.
don't think if I still had them, I don't, and I honestly can't even remember if I gave it back to Keaton or not after it was over. I probably didn't, because I'm petty. Um,
Why would
but
you?
I didn't, yeah, right. I didn't know that you could like do that until kind of seeing, other things. So I don't think I gave anything to anybody. But it was pretty funny rewatching these episodes. Like, there'll just be a challenge going on, and then it'll just cut to Josh freaking in a bush somewhere, like just like looking for things. He's always just all over the place. And I love that so much. Like, it's validating to see that where people are finding things, because I'm like, I was shoving my hand in every jar and every plant, I was like, I was like, every time I walk by anything. So it was good to know that I'm not an idiot. It just, the timing was not on my side.
You,
I'm like, where
yeah,
are these things everyone's finding?
you weren't searching on the side of the building in the rubble.
No, had no idea. And I wasn't wearing shoes most of the time, so that's probably a good thing.
That would probably hurt.
Yeah.
Um, Madison, I appreciate you doing the exit interview. It's been fun talking to you, kind of hearing the ins and outs of what happened in there from your eyes. But is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about before we conclude the exit interview?
Think just that, yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so glad I did this. I don't know that I will ever do it again, but it
Never say
it was
never.
really, yeah, right. Yeah, you never know. You never know. But um it was just a really great experience, and I met so many great people, and just kind of now being introduced to this whole new world of people and things that I didn't know existed. And it's been so fun learning, oh, Rocky does a game, oh, Adam does a game, like all these people just know each other. It's just all these awesome people doing cool things. So I'm grateful to have been introduced to the community. And you are quite famous, because I said at Nicole's the other weekend, I was saying, I think you messed, I don't know what happened, but I said that Duke guy, and everyone like laughed at me, and I was like, did I say his name wrong? But like people were just like, that Duke guy, like, because you're just famous in the world. So now I just know in this, I'm like, you are Duke. People know who you are. So anyway, it's just been
Oh, you
fun.
make me
And
blush. You make me
yeah,
blush.
thank you for, yeah, your time. And who knows? Well, who knows when and how, what capacity I'll see you again. But yeah, I'm excited for whatever the future holds.
Awesome, Madison. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah.
stop this recording.